Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for attending our town council meeting this evening. It's good to see the public present because we work for you guys. So thank you for being here. I'm calling this meeting to order. Roll call. Cat Berry.
Here.
David Harwood.
Here.
Miller. Here.
Here.
David. Doug. Yes. That was a little quick there, Doug. And Melissa.
Here.
Thank you. All right, everyone's in attendance. If you please would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council approval of minutes, May 4th, 2025 special meeting minutes, May 12th, 2026 regular and closed session minutes, May 20th, 2026 budget work session minutes. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
That was unanimous. All right, regular agenda adoption. Do I have a motion to approve the regular agenda?
So moved.
Second? Nope.
I just want to make two changes to the, like, not to items, but to things within the consent agenda. Just want to make council aware that on page 49 of the packet is the indemnity agreement for the Blue Ridge Relay. It's not signed. So I would request that someone make a motion to make that item, have a condition that it have a prerequisite that it be signed before signed by the town. The other thing that I just wanted to.
That was the Blue Ridge Relay.
Correct, yeah, so it's number 3 on the consent agenda. So if someone could make a motion, just to change that part of the consent agenda to require a signature from the organizer.
We'll do that when we get to consent. I'll read off each one. The council member can make a motion to make
That's
that.
good. And the other thing I just want to make everyone aware before we finalize the agenda is on number 6 on the consent agenda. It says closed session. At the end, it's open session as far as when this agreement would be voted on. So it was just that change in the word, but otherwise it's the same.
Okay.
I can amend my motion to accept those two changes.
Okay, we'll detail each one of those when we get to consent. If that's good with everyone. Okay. So with changes being noted, do I have a motion to approve the regular agenda?
Yes.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. All right, the consent agenda. This consists of the Blowing Rock ABC store travel policy, fireworks approval, Chatola. Okay, the Blue Ridge Parkway relay. I need one of y'all to make a motion to make that approved once they sign their agreement.
I'll make that motion to make it contingent upon a signature.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And then U.S. Bank personal property, tax release, budget amendment, 2026, amendment to the employment agreement. Do I have a motion to approve that revised employment agreement?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Audit contract, resolution 2026-02, utility write-offs and department reports. Now, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the motions, previous motions of changes made?
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. All right. Public comments. Let's see here. I only have Brandon Walker. Floor is yours, Brandon. state your name and address.
Brandon Walker, 232 Ransom Street. Thank you, Mayor, Council, Ms. Darian. And I just have a few concerns I'd like to share. First, moving the date of this public hearing regarding the proposed budget because one council member had a personal conflict shows a lack of respect for your constituents. Seems that no thought was given to your constituents' time and other obligations. Following the public notice provided on May 13th that the public hearing regarding the proposed budget will be held on June 9th, I'm sure I'm not the only one that planned accordingly to be here. Personally, I had to cancel and rebook a flight and hotel reservations in order to be here tonight. I'm on 2 citizen boards. I've never missed a meeting. I take that responsibility seriously and plan accordingly. I would expect the same from our elected officials. Further, the Watauga County Commissioners meeting is also tonight, where they will be voting on the county budget. The vast majority of Blowing Rock's taxpayers live in Watauga County, pay Watauga County taxes. Many may have been forced to choose between the 2 meetings. As an aside, Watauga County is not raising property taxes. And then next thing, what is the point of having a public hearing regarding a proposed budget that is immediately followed by a vote on that budget? How and when are our concerns considered? Watauga County's proposed budget was presented to the commissioners on May 13th. A public hearing was held on May 19th, and the vote was held on June 2nd. Giving the commissioners 2 weeks to consider the public's opinions and concerns. Tonight, you also just approved a budget amendment transferring $514,000 from the fund balance appropriation to land purchase. The $514,000 land purchase was presented in the 2025 independent auditor's report as a capital asset. I'm not an accountant, but I'd love to understand that. Finally, at the budget workshop on May 20th, there was discussion of using bond funds to pay for various projects. I may be incorrect, correct me if I'm wrong, but I recall Tasha, our former finance director, saying at the winter retreat on February 4th that there were no bond funds available. That's all. Thanks for letting me say.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Appreciate it. Well, as mayor, I will apologize for us having to postpone the budget hearing meeting, but also as mayor, I wanted all the council to be in attendance. I think that's important. So, and I wanted as many citizens to be in attendance as possible. So thank you for attending. Thank you, council. All right. Guess we don't have any more public comments. All right, we're going to move to public hearings. All right, 2026/2027 budget public hearing with a presentation. And I would like to welcome Alice Durant, our new town manager. Once again, welcome.
Thank you.
And Margaret, our new finance director, welcome. So, table's yours.
Motion to open the public hearing.
We'll do that once you make the presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see all of you. Thank you, Mayor Sellers, council, members of the community. I'm pleased to be here this evening to present the 2026-27 fiscal year recommended budget for your review and consideration. The recommended budget is the culmination of efforts over the recent months by the mayor, council, and staff. The budget was prepared in accordance with North Carolina general statutes and the North Carolina Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act. All funds in the recommended budget are balanced and all revenues and expenditures are identified for fiscal year 26-27 at this time. The public hearing was noticed as required about the town clerk's council. The recommended budget has been available for public inspection via our website and the town hall. Our agenda for this evening's public hearing will be as follows. We'll do a review of the general fund revenues, property tax levy and rates, sales tax revenue, fund balance history, area tax rates, and COLA, which is cost of living adjustment. We have to refer to that as COLA. overall general fund summary of revenues, overall general fund summary of expenditures, overall water and sewer fund summary, overall Blowing Rock Appearance Advisory Commission fund, capital that is in the recommended budget, adjustments resulting from the council's budget work session will be highlighted, and then finally, next steps. And I have reviewed the recommended budget, and if it is the will of council, I am proposing some reductions that can be considered. These will, again, though, be discussed at the end of the presentation. The budget reflects the diligent work of staff, as I mentioned, our mayor and town council. With its preparation, the budget is a solid plan and commitment to this town's future. I would like to give special thanks to all the departments that contributed into making this final product, with Elaine Bailey, the interim town manager, Margaret Pierce, our brand new finance officer, who jumped right into this as well. So thank you. She's done an exceptional job just coming on board and preparing all of the financial information that y'all have been reviewing. So thank you. We'll go right into the presentation, and I will pull the slides up here as I go along. General fund revenues. You can see on the first slide, property tax revenues account for a majority of your revenues at $7,769,000. Followed by sales tax, $3,481,266. We have other taxes, and that includes, that is where you'll find your occupancy taxes, utility franchise, video programming, and also POW bill funding. Miscellaneous includes contributions from the fire department and TDA. Property tax levy and rates. This chart showing you the property tax revenue budget to actual, and this is for the past 5 years. The town's current property tax rate is 40 cents, which has been in place since fiscal year 23-24. The final recommended budget reflects a rate of 44 cents. The sales tax revenue on the next slide. This chart shows sales tax revenue budget to actual for the past 5 years as well. You'll notice for the past 4 years that the actual revenue received was below budget. What was the reason for this? I know there's been a lot of questions surrounding this at different meetings that I've been attending. And so, we have really dug into this. It appears that the projected increases were based off of budgeted numbers and not actual numbers. Fund balance history. Fund balance is the difference between general fund revenues and expenditures over time. It is essential that governments maintain adequate levels of fund balance to mitigate current and future risks. Those include any type of revenue shortfalls that you have or experience in a year, and unanticipated expenditures, and to ensure a stable tax base and rate. Town council has set a goal of a fund balance of 50%, which is, I applaud you, that's terrific and ambitious. You can see that the fiscal year 24-25, your unassigned fund balance is $6,126,117, which equates to 40%. As part of the original 25-26 budget, $194,042 of fund balance was appropriate to balance the budget. During the current fiscal year, an additional $329,463 was appropriated for a variety of projects during the year. The recommended budget across all funds, 26-27, does not include any appropriated fund balance. So what you're seeing does not include any fund balance to balance this budget. The total fund balance in fiscal year 24-25 is $8,947.56. A question often asked is, what is the right amount? And that really depends on each individual municipality. We all have different makeups. On the coast, you've got areas that are more vulnerable to storms, hurricanes. which typically have a higher one. The North Carolina Local Government Commission, they closely monitor fund balance levels, and that's part of their fiscal oversight. Each year, local units must submit audited financial statements, and the LGC focuses heavily on the general fund balance. And that percentage they use as a key measure of your fiscal health. Using the audited financial statements, the LGC calculates these percentages by removing the non-spendable amounts and certain legally restricted amounts from local fund balance and comparing the remainder to general fund expenditures and transfers out. For governing boards, it's the takeaway is pretty straightforward. A strong fund balance is essential. It's not a blank check. It provides working capital, helps manage timing gaps of when revenue comes in different times of the year, creates a buffer against uncertainty. Understanding how much of it is truly available and when it'll be needed is just as important as the total amount reported. So you'll hear me focus on fund balance a lot as we go through and as we work together. Fund balance is, one of the most important things that town council can have at its discretion. Area tax rates and cost of living adjustments. On the next slide, you can see the current tax rate is 40 cents. Proposed tax rate was initially 45 cents. And the recommended tax rate following the budget workshop is 44 cents. 1 penny is equivalent to $174,000. The recommended cost of living adjustment increase is 3%. Okay. Overall general fund summary revenues. This slide shows you a summary of revenues broken down by line items. You can see fiscal year 25-26, adopted totals, the recommended totals, and the revisions made as a result of your budget workshop. This slide reflects the 1 penny removed, the $174,000 that was just mentioned from the originally proposed tax increase, and $1,609 from other revenues. Next slide. The overall general fund summary for expenditures. This slide shows you a summary of expenditures broken down by line items as well. Again, you can see the fiscal year 25-26 adopted totals, recommended totals, and the revisions made as a result of the last budget workshop. The public information officer position was removed from the budget. That reduced the administrative finance line item by $16,148. The line painter was added to the street department line item in the amount of $12,000. And the Brom parking deck repairs were removed in the amount of $76,018 and moved to street bond funding, along also with the Glen Burnie restrooms. So $95,443 was reduced from the recreation department to the parks bond funding. So that concludes the general fund, and next is the overall water and sewer fund summary. A rate increase of 3.5% is in the fiscal year 26-27 recommended budget and is reflected in the fee schedule for water and sewer fees to cover inflationary increases. These costs include chemicals and increase in pipe costs. It is important to note that during our call regarding the USDA loan for plant upgrades, we were asked if there would be a rate increase, which we replied to it was anticipated, and they were favorable to one being considered, considering our current standing. A rate study will be implemented in the very near future. The current minimum billing fee, which is up to 3,000 gallons of $63, is proposed to increase to $65. And these are all broken down. If you looked at the budget full packet online, these are shown broken out into the fee schedule. The current, for consumption over 3,000 gallons of $63 plus $7.88 per 1,000 gallons. After 3,000 gallons is proposed to increase to $65 plus $6.15 per 1,000 gallons. And again, these increases apply both to sewer and water. Next, overall Blowing Rock Appearance Advisory Commission fund. This fund is, has a slightly recommended overall increase of less than $2,000, $1,950. So not a lot of change here. We anticipate a little bit of uptick in donations, but not a big increase again. Capital in the recommended budget. This is the first budget presentation I've had with a picture of a porta-john in, so that's first. We've got a trash truck to replace the 2014 current truck in the amount of $265,000. They tried to capture some pictures of that here on the slides. If any of y'all are interested in more pictures, we've got a lot of pictures that were taken to document conditions. One police vehicle to replace an existing vehicle, $72,550. An enclosed trailer for landscaping to replace the existing, $15,000. And the bathrooms at Glen Burnie Trailhead and Cannon Park to replace porta-johns, which is a $250,000, and that is a grant match. And the grant is the Great State Trails Grant, which is being facilitated through the Village Foundation of the town. So we appreciate your work and effort on that. Okay. Adjustments from the board budget work session. So this is just a summary that's showing you a format to show the changes that were made from the last budget work session. With the changes in revenues and expenditures, all of what we've discussed again at tonight's hearing. The following priorities and projects were identified as part of the work sessions. It highlights the crosswalks, wrong parking, deck repairs, Maple Street parking lot resurfacing and striping, Laurel Lane sidewalk, Robbins Pool parking lot, which is currently stone to be paved, and enclosed dumpster area. And on that same property, Glen Burnie bathroom projects, water line at Park Avenue and Pine Street project, sewer line project at Laurel Park and Green Park, and one additional full-time position in landscaping, which is contained in the general fund. And that position is being proposed under landscaping to be landscaping and both a maintenance person for facilities that you don't currently have. So they'll be doing dual role there. Okay. So I talked about I mentioned next steps would be last. I mentioned that if it is the will of council, I am proposing some reductions that can be considered. I've identified a potential 1 penny reduction in the recommended tax rate, which would reduce the recommended tax rate down to 43 cents. The reductions would be primarily from central government, broken out as follows. Account number 070, which is election expenses in the amount of $12,000. I don't foresee that funding being needed this year. Account number 506, which is the manager's discretionary funds, $7,000. Account number 057, which is miscellaneous, $5,000. Then the lion's share of that reduction would come from the public buildings and grounds. Account number 500, which is $150,000 for AV equipment and room renovations. Having said that, and I can tell you from having to follow the meetings along remotely, I understand the challenges and the difficulty. We want to make sure that we're ADA compliant, even if this is, regardless of whether it's left in or taken out is still going to be a priority, and the intention is to seek grant funding for that important work. You might not see a lot of the renovations potentially, but the AV equipment, certainly, we see that as a priority. I've talked a lot about, a lot of points made this evening that explains how you landed on the recommended rate of 44. And it's my responsibility as town manager, who also serves as the budget officer, to provide some guidance and perhaps a word of caution to consider further reductions. I will reiterate, your last budget was adopted appropriating fund balance that it equated to over a penny. Ideally, a penny increase should have been discussed and considered last year. I am not a proponent of using fund balance, as I mentioned earlier, to balance a budget. In viewing your winter retreat priorities identified, most are not currently funded in the budget. There are also items that I'm aware of in council's purview on the horizon that you'll be considering that are not budgeted. The charts and numbers we looked at this evening show sales tax has been down over multiple years. And you had a lag in occupancy tax, of course, in the last couple, in the last years with 2 hotels that have been offline. When the town issued bonds back in 2015, it's my understanding it was done on the premise of regular increases to fund the projects. You've held the current rate since fiscal year 23-24. A large part of your budget contains fixed costs such as staff, debt payments, largely make up that, and staff being your number one asset. One major unknown going into this fiscal year is an issue for every local government, and that's House Bill 1089. And I know, you all have talked about that extensively and everyone is aware of it. But again, something that I feel compelled to just throw out here at this meeting as you carefully consider next steps is that, this is going to be a constitutional amendment imposing property tax levy limits on elected officials. So under this proposed legislation, state legislature would determine how to calculate the levy limit in any exceptions. So this will, like I said, potentially limit council's ability to raise any ad valorem taxes next year. We just don't know. We're going into a little bit of uncharted territory. Every municipality throughout the state of North Carolina. This will, I will say, in coming in and having to look through every single line item very closely, this will be trying to figure out what can be cut. It will definitely be one of the tightest budgets that I've had to manage going forward. But the good news, there is good news, that we have a plan. And the plan throughout this next year is to examine your fund balance. You've got that goal of 50%. Maybe look at that policy, adjusting it. It may need to even be stronger once we look at that. Create a contingency fund. I'm always a proponent and always have a contingency fund. I would propose that the next time removing the town manager's discretionary fund and replacing that with contingency. Anything that I'm proposing will be identified in a line item in the budget. These measures will definitely help going forward. And then there will also be a plan to do a 5-year forecast as well, to plan 5 years in advance. So next year at budget time, you'll be looking at a 5-year projection of revenues and expenses that's going to greatly help guide your decisions. So that I could tell you as a town manager would be the plan going forward.
Council, do I have a motion to open the public hearing? So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Council, do you have, before we move to the citizens, do you have many questions for Alice?
So with the 3-cent raise, anything that comes up will be funding out of our fund balance, correct? If we just go to 3 cents.
Anything that's not identified in the
Right.
budget, that was,
There will be stuff.
yes, yes.
I just feel like that's too tight, that things will come up, we'll be funding them out of our savings, and that's no way to run a municipality or a business or a family household, to be paying for daily expenses out of your savings. So I cannot go with that 3 cents. Also, there's potentially a pretty big expense coming down the road that we're probably going to see one day soon, that I think the entire town will be happy with. It could cause as much as a 10% erosion in our fund balance if we go there and don't take a loan that we're able to pay with our revenues.
Melissa, yes.
I have a question on the water and sewer fund. Why is the total revenue less than it was last year with the increase? We're raising the fees, but 25-26 was $3,064,460. The proposed would be $2,909,000. So why is that lower with the,
I just spoke with Alice, and keep in mind, we instituted the new electronic water meters,
right?
okay? Which is great for the citizens, because if they had leaks, it took 2 months to come up with the leak. So the citizen was obligated to take care of a portion of that bill. Now that we've instituted the new electronic meters, that catches the leak right away.
But wasn't that done a couple of years ago?
It's been done, it's been worked on for the last 2 years.
Okay,
Yes.
so you're
That
saying,
is what I was told would be part of the issue there.
and I wondered if part of it was the hotels being down as well,
I'm sure that has something to do with
or
it.
is that, okay,
Yes, but I'm sure the meter issue is the bulk of
Yeah.
the issue.
okay, thank you. That's a lot of money down the drain.
Oh, boy.
Sorry.
Any other questions so far, or shall we let the public speak?
Yeah.
Okay. If you would like to come up and speak, step up to the microphone, state your name and your address. You already talked before. You can't go twice. Come on, Brandon.
Brandon Walker, 232 Ransom Street. Thank you, Ms. Stair. It feels like the budget was just presented for the first time.
Did you talk louder?
Yeah. Can you hear me okay, Pat? Still on?
Louder. Louder. 8
Stay on?
decibels.
Is it on?
Talk like you mean it.
Again, thank you. Excuse me, I forgot. Some documents I want to hand out. Just one for everybody. I just passed out a May 19th letter that I sent to the mayor, council, and our interim town manager, a June 1st public records request, the statute that details the required contents of the budget message, the 2-page budget message that was included with the proposed budget, and for comparison, the 22-page budget message that was included with the fiscal 23 budget. the year of the property revaluation. I printed extra copies of all those documents. They're sitting on the chair next to my mother back there if anybody would like a copy. And if anybody with strong interest in this, I'd suggest you get a copy. So I have a number of concerns regarding the proposed budget and the lack of transparency and explanation for what will be the largest tax increase in recent memory. Spent numerous hours trying to understand the recommended 12.5% property tax increase on May 13th when the proposed budget was made available. To say that the budget document is nearly indecipherable, full of questionable assumptions, and in no way explained by the budget message that was provided with the proposed budget is putting it mildly. Further, the document had a major mistake when it was first provided. It was misstating general fund revenue by millions of dollars. To me, that made the document even more suspect. With no notice, that mistake was corrected. A correction I only discovered because I was traveling and pulled the budget up on our website and realized that it had been changed. And so I wrote a letter on May 19th to the mayor, council, and the interim town manager, raising a number of concerns. As of today, the only response I've received is an email stating that the numerous proposed and adopted budgets that I had pointed out were missing from the town website had been added back to the website. Inexplicably, following that, every prior year proposed budget was deleted from the website. Further, the fulsome and detailed budget message for the fiscal 23 budget, again, the year of the property revaluation, was also deleted from the website. I've asked and received no explanation as to why those documents were deleted. I encourage taxpayers to compare the prior year budget messages, particularly the fiscal 23 budget message, with the uninformative 2-page budget message that was provided with this proposed budget. Without getting into minutia, which I trust the mayor and council have already done, the primary justification provided for the proposed tax increase was pension and healthcare costs. They were presented misleadingly. For comparison, my understanding is that Caldwell County uses the same pension and healthcare systems as Blowing Rock, yet they're lowering their taxes by 3 cents. Further, I found the North Carolina statute regarding the town manager's responsibilities to the mayor and council when writing the budget message. It states, the budget message should contain a concise explanation of the governmental goals fixed by the budget for the budget year. It should explain important features of the activities anticipated in the budget, should set forth the reasons for stated changes from the prior year in program goals, programs, appropriation levels, and should explain any major changes in fiscal policy. This budget message came nowhere near close to meeting that standard. Receiving no response to my May 19th letter, I made a public records request on June 5th. Thus far, all that I've received are the prior year proposed budgets that were inexplicably deleted from the website. The public documents I requested are integral to trying to understand this budget. The lack of response suggests that those documents are not readily available, which begs the question of how the mayor and council have enough information to vote tonight. My request this evening is that any vote be tabled until more information is provided to taxpayers and to the mayor and to council. I'm not sure how much it would help, but Lane said before he left that he would be available to assist. I'm sure that we paid him well, and in my view, it's not a reasonable request that he provide a budget message commensurate with his responsibilities to the mayor and the council in accordance with North Carolina law. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Just to reiterate, the Caldwell County is reducing taxes from what I've been told. The advantage to Caldwell County, they have industry. We don't. And our industry is our citizens and tourism. So, but I did some research and Caldwell is due to their increased revenues from industry, and one of which is Google. So, but thank you for bringing that to light, Mr. Walker. I appreciate that. Thank you. Would someone else like to? Council, any additional questions? Okay, do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make the motion.
Okay, we have a first, we have a second. And would someone like to make a motion?
It's a motion
Would someone like to make a motion?
to what?
To approve the recommended budget or to make a motion at a lesser amount as she has stated.
Motion to approve the recommended budget.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the recommended budget, which consists of a tax rate of 0.44 or 44 cents on the 100. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any additional discussion? Doug?
Go ahead, Doug.
Go ahead. Ladies first.
I was just going to say, I think we need to do some more work and bring that number down in light of what it means to our constituents. And I know it's going to be a burden to try to work with the lower budget as for the year, but I feel like there may be some other things that we can do through the year. So I definitely don't want to approve a 4% increase.
Doug, you had some thoughts?
One, I apologize because I will have to say that looking back, when you see 40, 40, 40, those were the times that we probably should have been setting aside and watching, I will have to say is I was on here then, so part of that responsibility lies with me. It's a lot easier when you're moving it at that rate to stay up with everything than when you're trying to just hold tight to keep from giving the taxpayers an increase. So you sit back and do nothing and keep it at the same while prices continue to rise. And you're still holding it down, and you watch your fund balance go down, you watch your reserves go down, because finally you will exhaust most of them to where then you have to lay out a tax increase of 3, 4, 5% to try and get yourself back up. With that being said, I think I'm going to have to agree with Wayne.
We have a first, we have a second. Do we have any additional discussion, comments?
Well, I just was curious, we had a budget workshop and we went through every line item and we came up with what we thought we could do without this year. So to Melissa's point, I'm not quite sure what further work needs to be done to get the budget approved when the state wants it approved. So
We got 15 more days.
we're limited in time. But what I'm saying is, we looked at what was there and discussed everything and came up with what we thought we could do without. Other pieces that could be altered, I think would take a lot more time than 15 days. And it could be work in progress for the future.
Alice just identified what we could bring it down, how we could bring it down to 3 cents. So I know we have a motion on the table, but I would rather see us do 3 cents than 4. Because that's a budget that you can work with, right?
That's a budget that we can certainly work with. But like I said, it's tight. So it's my job just to convey that, to make sure you all understand so you can make an informed decision.
I mean, look, things could have been done better in the past. And things may need to be improved. That's always the case. You can always do better. You can always improve. But I'm not convinced we can do that tonight or before July 1st. It's going to take time to straighten this out. And I, for one, feel we've got the right manager, we've got the right finance director to lead us there. And but it will take time, and I think we'll all be happy with it eventually.
I feel like there's a fair amount of shade being cast on this budget and the work that we've done. And I think that's inappropriate because this council over the last 4 to 6 years has really worked on some really non-glamorous stuff. We have really put a lot into things that you don't see, non-sexy things like water pipes and wastewater treatment plants. And I really want to applaud the work that staff and council has done on things that were very deferred and had not been addressed in the past. And we've done a good job of that. This particular budget clearly prioritizes core services and resiliency in keeping those services. The town of Blowing Rock delivers a very high level of customer service in everything we do. And this budget prioritizes that. Where it's lacking, I think, is alignment with our comprehensive plan. We're not executing as well as I think we could have if we had more money on different things. Downtown and visitor economy, we have moderate alignment with our comprehensive plan. Connectivity in our comprehensive plan, we have limited alignment there, and other things. This budget doesn't emphasize parking, aesthetics, tourism, pedestrian experience, historic character. Those are the sexy things that we keep putting off because we're replacing water pipes. So I think this budget does a good job of maintaining the status quo, does little to improve our offerings as a town. And I would agree with Mr. Miller. I think that that we're putting an unnecessary burden on ourselves at 43 cents. And I would, I feel like we could even do better than that. I think there are other things that we need to be focusing on in the future. We've had a budget, a 50% budget fund balance goal for several years, and we can't seem to get there. And it's because of our reluctance to raise taxes, which in and of itself is admirable, but I think you summed it up. You know, we're stealing from Peter to pay Paul. And so, you know, I applaud Ms. Darian for bringing up and showing us some hard truths here, especially bringing up the contingency fund. I think that's an excellent idea, and you've experienced that firsthand on how important that is. So we're not going to get there at 43 cents or 40 cents. We have historically low tax rates in Blowing Rock compared to our neighbors and to other similar tourist economy towns. So I'm not an advocate of raising taxes. I don't want to be painted that way. I am an advocate of good fiscal policy, and I think we could improve upon that.
Okay. Any other most,
Mr. Harwood, I would just like to say, yes, we do have historically low rates compared to a lot of our neighbors. However, we have extraordinarily high property values, so compared to our neighbors. And I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that, yes, there are a lot of things that have been kicked down the road that we have not addressed, that need to be addressed. I would say that clean water is, while a lot of people might not consider it sexy, it is our primary duty is the health and safety issues. So, but I still think, as Alice had said, if she can work with the 43-cent increase, I would propose that we try to work within those boundaries. While we can't hit a 50% fund balance when our revenues keep going up or our expenses keep going up every year like they have. A 3% COLA increase. We've got all of the increases that the state is asking us for the retirement. Those we can't control the retirement and what the state is requiring us to do. We can control some of our spending, and I think we do need to try to bring in some of the spending that is not absolutely necessary. So that's my take on it.
council, any more comments? Are you firm with your motions? Okay. No more discussion? All right, Melissa, how do you vote?
No?
Doug?
Yes.
Yes?
Aye.
Okay. Budget's passed at 44 cents on the 100. Thank you for your hard work. All right, now, code amendment, planning board. Remove SUP from board review. Kevin Rothrock. Good evening, Kevin.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Welcome, Alice. Welcome, Margaret. Back to the team, Margaret. Included in your packet is a summary of some work that the planning board has done related to special use permit process. In response to council direction at the winter retreat, staff has researched the idea of making changes to the special use permit process. The first step was to consider removing the planning board review from special use applications. Many cities and counties across North Carolina maintain an advisory step in their review of quasi-judicial decisions, and the responsibility is usually held by the planning board. Lately, the trend across North Carolina is to remove the advisory review and recommendation and allow the governing body to make the quasi-judicial decision in a one-step process. This minimizes the confusion of going to an advisory board or advisory hearing at planning board where almost everyone has an opportunity to speak, and then to a full quasi-judicial hearing where only the experts and those with standing are allowed to testify. Included in your packet was a blog by David Owens with the School of Government from a few years back that summarizes the advisory board reviews of quasi-judicial decisions. The blog doesn't say one way or another, but it does summarize the pros and cons of planning board advisory review of special use permits. The draft ordinance was presented to planning board back in April, where the board recommended unanimous approval of the draft ordinance to remove planning board advisory review of special use permits. In that draft ordinance, you see where it's been highlighted, new text is underlined, text to be removed has been struck through. I would like to point out that not included in that draft was a recommendation by planning board related to references to the term planning board and town council and board of commissioners. And so they asked us to make that consistent throughout. So Board of Commissioners would be spelled out, Planning Board would be spelled out in this draft ordinance. And if you would allow us, if you want to move forward with this draft ordinance, allow us the liberty to make those adjustments in the final draft before it's signed. So after presenting the staff report, I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have on it.
A motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Public hearing is now open. Council, any questions for Kevin?
Kevin, do you know off the top of your head how many municipalities are still doing it the way we're doing it?
It's less than it was. I'll put it that way. Back in the 90s when I started out, many did. And there was a reference to the School of Government blog, when asked how many, at that time, I think it was sure when the date was, but many of them still did. But here lately, the last 5 to 6 years, that trend has been moving away from that, and still keeping planning board as part of conditional zoning. So I want everyone to be aware of that. Planning board still has that role, and by statute has that role of providing a recommendation on rezonings, conditional rezonings, and legislative decisions, amendments to the code, amendments to the map. And so those are still covered by statute. But in special use, it's not required by statute. And so many communities have been getting away from it.
Thank you.
Would any of the public like to speak on this? It does appear to be streamlining things.
Come on.
I need clarification. GG Pool 147 Dogwood Lane. So Kevin, what I have heard is that by eliminating the planning board as the first pass, first base, let's get to first base. You then, the way it is now, we have planning board, which is first base. After that, then we go to the quasi hearing where very few of us peons get to speak. Only y'all get to talk about it, right?
No,
Okay,
that's not correct.
educate me. Because I want to see what the advantage is that allows citizens to have an opportunity to talk about a special use permit. So help me.
Kevin, would you step up?
We want to stay talk about baseball.
That's fine.
It's on my mind all the time.
Yeah.
Who's on first?
You are. Because in this scenario,
Explain first off, planning board, anybody can talk about it.
okay.
Move from there and move forward to council and explain to Gigi, Ms. Poole, that the citizens have the right to speak at that quasi judicial hearing. Okay?
Is it true that they can speak, but it has no standing on the decision whether we
Planning.
plan?
Let me try to explain. If there's still questions on clarification, I'll do that. Okay. The current process is an application for special use goes to planning board, or after staff review, goes then to planning board for a recommendation, and then to council at a public hearing. Planning board is not bound by the quasi judicial rules. They allow free exchange of comments and ideas and of a first view of a special use permit. But when it gets to council and they're following the strict rules of quasi judicial, the planning board recommendation does not matter. They cannot make a decision based on that recommendation. They can't make a decision on anything that was said at that meeting. They have to make it based on the evidence presented in that quasi judicial meeting under sworn testimony, and the experts, the engineers and land planners and surveyors. They also have the opportunity to hear from the public, especially those with standing that would be negatively affected or positively affected by that development. And so This proposal is to take planning board out of it because although it does give a trial run through the special use process, that evidence is not evidence. It's just information that's presented and it's not conveyed to council. Does that answer some questions?
Does that answer your question, Ms. Poole?
Okay, I still only see that some part of the public being able to talk and being heard and being considered, that's not coming, that's not increasing by what's being proposed.
No.
To take planning board out of it.
And that's by
Decreasing.
statute.
It's decreasing.
It's decreasing, and that's by statute. There's no, in a special use permit, you're not seeking a rezoning or a legislative decision. You're asking for a permit. If you meet the ordinance, you meet all the criteria, you should get a permit. It's just pretty straightforward. We don't have as many special use permit applications as we used to. We have we have conditional zoning, which has been a good tool for many to present what they want to in a neighborhood meeting, and then planning board is wide open, and then in council, there's lots more in a conditional zoning process than there is in special use.
I think in the defense of the council and Kevin and myself and the citizens, under a SUP, our hands are tied. We can't even talk to each other about it. We can't talk to you, Ms. Poole, about it, which is very unfortunate. And so I think the council as a whole really feels strongly about conditional rezoning. But as Kevin has alluded to, when it goes in front of planning, their hands aren't tied. Anybody can talk about it. And we can't talk about it once we hear it's going to planning. Am I correct?
Once an application.
Once an application's made, our hands are tied. Okay.
Point out one more thing. At retreat, the council asked us to look at special use and conditional use as a whole. Do they still work for us? We are still investigating whether we want to keep special use permit. Professional opinion, it does work here in Blowing Rock for what we have. But the first step was we're still going to take a look at, do we need to keep special use? We're running against some issues with the General Assembly and a law passed in December of 24 that we're trying not to make sure we don't downzone property by mistake by removing special use from the option. So Joey and I have talked about this, and we're trying to make sure that we stay legally in step with the General Assembly. But at this stage, we're just talking about if we're going to keep special use, let's clean it up and make sure planning board is removed from that so that we don't have the confusion that goes on between planning board and the council step in a quasi judicial process. We don't have to do this. Planning board has made a recommendation to move forward. And there's experience on that planning board too.
Any other questions? Yes, Melissa.
I have so would the public with standing still be able to speak at the council meeting? And are you saying that we would not be able to consider what they say?
They
Would be able to, it would enable us to consider what is said from people with standing
So
where.
potentially they can speak. So I mean, if they do establish standing, and get determined to be an intervener. So I mean, prior to any sort of quasi judicial hearing, at the outset, we ask for anyone else who might feel that they're a party to this action. If so identifies as, someone who might be a party to this action, before we even get into the merits of the quasi judicial hearing, council will then decide on if that individual is qualified to be an intervener. If they are, then they're a party to the action. So it can't be a blanket statement that, anyone can be a party. That would have to be something that would be determined by council, at the beginning of the quasi judicial hearing.
So in other words, right now, those people with standing can speak at the planning board, correct? But we cannot take into consideration what they say. So what we're doing is just allowing council to have access to what the people with standing have to say about it, so that we have more to consider with an approval or rejection. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
You have that. You still have that today.
Yes.
At the public hearing, the quasi judicial hearing, those that have standing today can speak.
Biggest thing that it
I'm trying to
does take
figure out the
away
difference. Yeah.
is, to Gigi's point, is it takes away a sounding board. And that's what sometimes some of these things that come before us are. You can't, as a whole, no matter, unless you do have standing, go up and give your point of view on this.
But at the planning board, they can speak without standing? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Gotcha.
And planning board's not bound by those strict rules.
If you remove this, the plan board will be there.
Right. So it would take away the voice of some people.
But those voices of some of those people, we cannot consider
But the planning board,
comes in front of us.
but the planning board could, correct?
Yes.
But they have no say
That's
so.
no bearing on your decision,
Right.
special use.
It's a sounding.
I mean, anybody's listened to me and certainly everybody up here. I think we ought to do away with special use permitting altogether. That's something we can talk about at a later time, but
That's been brought up.
I think we should seriously consider it. I mean, look, the people of Blowing Rock have a right to live in a town that they choose, the town that they choose. And special use permitting takes that away from them. With conditional zoning, we have to vote. We can listen to their input. We can take their advice and we vote. And if they don't like the way we vote, we're, elected representatives, they can vote us out. But a developer coming in on Ransom Street wanting to put a Hampton Inn, as long as they meet 5 or 6 bullet points of the code, there's nothing we can do. It's going up, it'll ruin that neighborhood, and you can talk, Ms. Poole, and everyone out there can discuss it, and it has no bearing at all. And that's what you can do with a special use permit.
You have to meet more than 5 or 6 points. You got to meet the whole ordinance.
Well, the ordinance, yeah.
That's pretty
Well,
big.
okay. So still, you know what I'm saying? They have no ability to control the type town they want to live in.
Okay,
Through their elected representative.
that has been discussed.
All right.
We can bring it up at a later date. Yeah.
We do.
But for tonight,
It might be next year.
for tonight, do we have any other citizens that would like to speak on this issue? Yes.
Hello, Laura Bingham. I've been a resident, a property owner for 30 years and currently on Valley Boulevard. I was not prepared to speak on this topic tonight, but listening to it, I have had personal experience with planning board and overturning of planning board recommendations and not having standing, even though you're an adjacent property owner, a neighborhood, and a decision that was made internally by staff that probably had some conflicts of interest about it. So my point in having a moment is to say, I think the council ought to look at every way possible, to Wayne's point, to provide citizens ample opportunity for knowledge and being informed about what's proposed or going to happen, and to be a part of the process. So I think your default position should always be openness and not closed. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak from the public? Okay. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing? Do I have a second?
Second?
Do we have a motion? The motion would be to approve the recommendations.
Make that motion.
So
to approve
made.
Kevin's recommendation.
Okay, so Doug made a motion,
I'll second it.
seconded. Any additional discussion on this?
And then
Yes.
Kevin will get back to us soon. Other than
Cat,
I vote yes.
David?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Doug? Okay, all right. Thank you, Kevin. That's, that's the move, Wayne, and all, that has been discussed. And that's something we can bring up. Okay? Yeah. All right, moving right along. Oh my gosh, we got Albert Yance,
you get like David.
special presentation. Albert. We didn't see you on that side very often. You were normally sitting right over here.
I had something to say about your,
Gavel.
I have not gavelled you tonight, okay?
you weren't the first, and look what happened to him.
So, thanks for coming.
Mike, Pete, come up.
Who's your bodyguards?
Yeah. Mike Page and Pete Page, they're cousins. U.S. Navy, U.S. Army, I'm Navy. Jim Lewis could not be here tonight. He's Air Force. And I'm going to ask Doug a special favor. Doug is basically a native here. Just briefly tell us how the Legion was appreciated when you were coming up.
Oh, the Legion was really the center of attention as I was growing up. Dances, bingo games, very, very active. I mean, very, very active in the community. They gave the youth the downstairs to the Legion building for us to create havoc once a week in their teams, It's hard to just say in its heyday, how great that it was for the town and the community. Every Saturday night, you couldn't find a parking place down through here, let's put it that way.
Well, demographics have changed and there aren't that many natives here. And we basically turned into a second hometown, and they aren't interested in the American Legion. And astoundingly, the American Legion nationally has lost 7 million members in the last 10 years. That's a pretty big number. What it means is these people getting out of the military now aren't interested in going to meetings. And it's all over the country, just about every organization. The Sonic Lodges are suffering and everything. And so I was having lunch here one day, and the mayor called me and wanted to know if I knew there was no more American Legion. I was commander. Of course I didn't. I hadn't heard a peep out of the people in Raleigh. Remember that, Charlie? And come to find out, we have never been officially notified that we weren't a Legion post, but we know we aren't. So we started working on what do we do with the 40 burial plots that we own. The only paper I have seen from the American Legion in Raleigh said our post owned no assets. Well, I don't know how much are those lots now?
For sale.
Yeah.
It's listed in the schedule of duties, it's several $100s for in town, and out of town is like $2,000.
Well, we have a deed, or had a deed after night we won't. for 40 of the, we bought 47 in 1947. So we didn't use very many.
That's a good thing.
Probably because it's rumored that there was a codicil in that original purchase to not let your spouse be buried there. Well, that's out. But anyway, we decided, us and Jim, to see who could we give those to. And we ended up at the town of Blowing Rock because the town's always been good to us. And we've been good to the town. We gave our building back to the town early. And it's, of course, renovated. And if you don't know, there was very little tax money spent on that renovation. It was donations. And I mean, if you haven't been in that building, you should go down there and go in it and look at it. So we're going to offer those to the town. Council has to vote on it. But first off, there's a gentleman sitting over there, and he's an attorney at law, Joey. Joey has done yeoman work, and he hit some bumps in the road and went back to colonial days in North Carolina, statues and everything else, and finally has a document that's going to be signed by, I guess, the mayor. Who signs it?
We can talk about that, whoever.
Yeah, we'll have somebody sign it.
Yeah, okay. And so as a sidebar, Charlie thinks he's the only one that's ever graveled me when I sit where you guys sit. Actually, he was second. For your
JB, do it to you.
For your cooperation, and Charlie has really been a good person helping us. He really has been, above and beyond the call of duty. And I'm going to lift my hand that I put on you the night you gavel me down.
So I don't have to serve another 20 years?
Now, that's temporary.
Okay.
That's on your future conduct. So that's about all I've got to say.
If I may, thank you for your service.
See anything? These guys work hard.
Now you know what we had to deal with up here.
I would like to thank Albert for his leadership and also for his efforts on behalf of the American Legion building. The kitchen is a donation by Albert in memory of his wife. And we are very fortunate to have that. Thank you, Albert.
Thank you. Got it. Council, do I have a motion to approve this gift from the American Legion, Albert, President or Commander? And
Yes, I make a motion that we accept the 40 cemetery plaques that are given.
wait,
Just want to make one change to that. If you could also designate Alice as the individual to sign the offer to purchase and contract, as well as the documents we need for the real estate closing.
excellent.
And we do want that check. John gave me $10 check.
Deidre, would you give him a check before you leave, huh?
Thought you told me cash.
Now, we won't check made for the heat runs on in the room.
Okay.
I want it for.
Well, we'll leave that up to Joe. Joey, you can handle that.
We'll sort that out.
Okay. We have a first. Do we have a second?
Second. Whoever.
We have 2 seconds. Okay. And Kat,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Wayne, Doug.
Aye.
Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Appreciate that.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
All right. Blowing Rock ABC store, legislation changes. Al Shackelford, come on down, Al.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for allowing the ABC Board to address you this evening, along with Frank Isry there. He's one of our board members. Sylvia Tarleton is the other. She didn't make it tonight. But what we want to talk to you about is House Bill 921 and how it will affect all ABC stores, including ours. But I want to state that in North Carolina, $1.9 billion is what's spent on liquor every year. That's 1.9 billion. So there's 450 ABC stores, 171 boards in the state.
Wow.
North Carolina is one of the 10 states where the government operates its own liquor store. So let's talk about House Bill 921. It consists of 75 pages. It's one of the longest bills addressed so far. It was actually sponsored by Ray Pickett and Laura Bard, Ray is our state representative. It started off pretty bad with one of the worst parts of it was that it wanted to allow liquor sales on Sundays and certain holidays. That was thrown out almost immediately. But there's two provisions in here that I wanted to talk about that concerns us. And the first one being the pre-mixed canned drinks. I don't know if you know what those are now. They're small cans are in our cooler. Young people really like these. They sell a lot. But this House bill will allow these pre-mixed canned drinks to be sold at grocery stores, actually about 1,000 stores in the state, as long as they have a beer and wine license. So that's going to cut down our sales. The part of that is that they will be limited to 9.9% alcohol. Anything above that still will have to be sold at an ABC store. But we received a message from the ABC Commission in Raleigh stating that this could cost us as much as 13% in our sales. However, we looked at our store, and I can only account for our store, is that we're only about 3 to 5% on this sale of this particular item. So we don't really look for that 13%. It's going to be a lot less than that. The second part of the bill that we took exception with was purchases of the alcohol. As of right now, there's 23 restaurants in Blowing Rock. By state law, they have to buy their alcohol in the county they reside in. So the restaurants can buy their alcohol from Blowing Rock or Boone, either one. This new provision or this new bill would allow the businesses to buy their alcohol anywhere in the state. And I got to give a hats off to Councilman Matheson there. We talked about this several months ago when this bill came about, and he actually called Ray and got him to change the wording of this bill to say that, well, all the restaurants will still have to buy their alcohol in either Boone or Blowing Rock, but there will be an exception if it's something that we don't have. It's a special product, a certain type of bourbon, whatever it is that we don't have, they can get a waiver, and it's going to be a 90-day waiver from the state, and they can go to the other store and buy it. So we really owe Doug, thank you for that. You did a great job with handling that. These changes, they worry me a little bit, and I think we'll do pretty good with it. The question is now, where is the bill now? It still has two more places to go to, a finance committee and a rules committee, and then it'll go to the floor to be voted on. We have actually emailed, there's 15 representatives on the ABC board. We have emailed them with our concerns that we are against this bill. even though Representative Pickett says that it's going to pass. And that's pretty much his decision that, or from the other members, I guess, that it will pass. Our objection to this was public health. When alcohol becomes more available, alcohol-related harms increase. I retired as a police chief and a sheriff. I spent 42 years in law enforcement. I know a lot about alcohol-related incidents through that time. The bill would hurt our local revenues at the most 3 to 5%. As you are aware, cities and towns benefit from local sales through direct profit distributions from our local ABC board. These funds are used to offset local property taxes, finance municipal services, and support local law enforcement and alcohol education program. 7% of our profits go to education. We help fund Alcohol Anonymous. We fund some ed driving for new drivers. So it really does that. With that said, I finally want to thank the manager and assistant manager of our store in Blowing Rock. They do a fantastic job. We have 11 part-time employees there. We get a lot of positive comments from citizens, from visitors that come there about how the place looks, the stock, the shelving and everything, and the politeness of our employees. So with that, I just wanted to update you on that, and I'll take any questions or comments. Doug, I know you have some.
Well, no, I was just looking at some of the things that come out again today, you know, about the alcoholic whipped cream. You know, they're gonna put that into ABC stores.
Alcoholic
Whipped cream. And they have another part of the bill is to allow in social districts, whether you sell mixed beverages or not, you can't stop somebody from coming into your business with their own drinks. So they seem to add on every day, it seems like, or tag on something else every time we turn around on this. You know.
A lot of changes. I wanted to update you and keep you aware of what's going on, and we'll see how this pans out. And I feel pretty confident that it will pass. But we still, thanks to Doug, we are better off than we could have been.
Well, thank you, Doug, and thank you, Al.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we do not have Todd Council or Ronnie Marsh here yet, so we'll go through our comments, take a short break, and then we can't make it.
Tied up with Hardin Park School.
Do I now?
Tied up with Hardin Park School.
So we might have to defer that, till a later date. Okay. All right. Mayor's comments. You know what? I'm going to David Harwood. I like David. He's always proactive and reactive. So I'm going to start down at the other end. Melissa, do you have any, Joy, any comments for this evening? Melissa.
Just, I feel bad that we could not settle on the 3-cent tax increase. I think that would have been, even though we would have to tighten our belts a little bit, I think that would have been the best thing for our citizens. So, sorry, I would like to apologize on behalf of the board to the citizens.
Start off by welcoming our new town manager. That was her first really council meeting, so welcome. And I would like to let the board know that I will be heading to Raleigh tomorrow for a meeting.
Be hot down there.
And Thursday. And then next week, I will be heading to Charlotte for a retreat. It will be my first, where I was elected to the board of directors for the North Carolina League of Municipalities. I'll be starting that position week after next. So
very good.
I hope to keep us in the loop, and Al, I hope to fight all we can for everything, you know.
Thank you, Doug. Wayne.
I think everybody would agree I've said enough tonight. I would like to welcome Alice,
You good? Mr. Harwood?
Yeah, I am beyond ecstatic that Alice and Margaret are here. And you've already stepped in and taken this budget by the reins, and I appreciate all the work that you've done on this. So welcome, and I look forward to working with both of you.
Ms. Perry?
I'd like to also say that we're thrilled about Alice and Margaret being on board. But I would also like to talk briefly about the decision, the big decision that we made tonight with raising taxes. And I would like for everyone to know, all of our citizens, that we have taken this very seriously. And that I know in conversations with each council member, that each council member has taken it very seriously. Raising taxes is not something that I think any of us really wanted to do. But in light of the financial situation that we find ourselves in, we needed to. So this decision was not taken lightly. It was not a glib decision. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well.
I catch you with your mouth full.
Done.
Okay.
I'll have to talk just a second longer.
I agree with council. Welcome. Looking forward to working with you individuals. I think you'll be an extremely good asset to the community, citizens, and to the council. And thank you. As far as the tax increase, well, 3 cents, 4 cents. The bottom line is we give services second to none to our citizens. We don't have to cut back services. And being a business owner, and for many years, another type of business, when we had cost of material increases, we had two choices. We either passed it on to our customers, or we cut what we consider to be fixed expenses, which entailed employees or benefits or whatever. My rule of thumb, to have a business, you have to have good employees and a customer base. If you lack either one of those, you don't have a business. It's the same with the town. Our customer base are our citizens. And we've got to have our employees to be able to serve those citizens. And I will say, these two individuals right here have talked to us many, many times on how to reduce this increase. And they did come up with a penny. Well, and another penny is $174,000. In the whole scheme of things, when you get the service we get, $174,000 is not a lot of money. But my thanks to the council for working hard on this and working with Margaret and Alice and the citizens for understanding, but also being, questioning, which is good. So thank you. That being said, the Blue Ridge Parkway will be open July 4th weekend. They're going to open it July 4th weekend so we can have our parade. It will be open that weekend. They will not have completed repairs, but it will be open. Then they'll close it down again from Moses Cone to Shoals Mills to complete that work after the 4th. So.
That's great.
Good job, man. Good job. I know
Yeah.
you helped work to try.
Told him I knew you, Doug. Alice.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure you're probably tired of hearing from me tonight. I'll try to keep it short. A lot of my time in the last 13 days, of course, has been working on the budget, which we talked about. Some other things that have been worked on in the last recent days. An iWork software program platform. We're in the process now of starting to implement this new software. Contract was executed last Friday. This is a workflow software program that assists city and county governments with day-to-day operations that manage permitting, planning and zoning, work orders, inspections, fleet and fuel tracking, pavement and stormwater management, as well as facility management. A demo was held last week, and like I said, we executed contracts on Friday. Good timing on that part. I know that some of this was already budgeted, and the planning department was underway with starting a version of getting this implemented, and realizing that some of our other departments, mainly Public Works, Landscaping, who is in charge of fleet management, work orders, a process hasn't historically been in place, so we were able to get them enrolled in this to be able to start using it. Essentially, it'll track everything that comes in, everything will be done through a work order, so everything is tracked from the front end until it is closed out to ensure the work's being completed, and also to help track costs and expense. What that will provide all of us with is data, so that when a department head, if they need more additional staff down the road and make that recommendation, we'll have the data to present to council and to the community to show you that the work's that's been being done and the money that's been spent. Also involved in this, there'll be another phase to this rollout. The second phase, we are going to have a customer, a citizens portal, which means you will be able to go and use your phone, computer, and of course you can still call, but it just gives you another way to report any issues that you see. You'll get an automatic response if it's been received. You'll get notifications along the way that it's been assigned to someone, where it is in the process. You'll be able to go and track all that, and you'll get a notification when that work, a confirmation that that work is completed. But like I said, that will be the second phase of this rollout. The first phase is just getting it implemented, getting it in place for staff to use, be comfortable with it. Once we're good, we will make the announcement and roll that out and do a tutorial on it. And we'll probably do that here, and then that'll be on our website as well. It'll also allow for permitting. You'll be able to pay for inspections online, which that'll be something new as well. So another thing, communications. You may have noticed that the message from the manager, we worked on that last week, which is a newsletter, is going to be published at the minimum monthly. You know, that this is fluid right now. It depends on how much I see that we have going on. If I feel the need to do it weekly or bi-weekly, well, you know, we can certainly adjust, but at minimum, that communication will be done monthly, just to update you on information, projects that we're doing. So if you haven't signed up to receive this subscription for that, you can do so. If you want to stop and ask me how to do that, I'm happy to walk you through that. But it's nothing, we're not asking you for all your personal information when you go on there to sign up. It's just simply what your first name is and your email. So very basic. And if you're not following us on Facebook, I would encourage you to do so. A lot of things where, you know, the town has been communicating, and will continue to increase communications that go out on social media as well. So So please consider following us for updates. Cellular service enhancements, and this was one of the things that was included in the message from the manager. Our partnership with Blue Ridge Energy. Last week, we got an update. They were starting construction, which is anticipated this week, for Verizon to put the nodes on the existing utility poles to help with better cell coverage, and provide better just bandwidth and service throughout town. Obviously, there's coverage issues here. And communications are important. And we just want to make sure that ball keeps rolling. AT&T and T-Mobile, that work recently completed. So Verizon is the next phase of that. And we expect all of the work to be completed by October of this year. So that's yes, exciting news, because coverage is a challenge. Last but not least, I just want to say thank you to everyone. Everyone has extended to me a very warm welcome. Association groups that I've met with and individual residents that have stopped by to introduce themselves. Council staff, I just want to say thank you. I am excited to be here and I'm excited to work with you. And please, my door is always open. Feel free if you have any ideas, concerns, issues, I'm here.
That's 24/7.
Of course.
Just yours, right?
All right, we're going to take a 15-minute recess. And we will go into closed session under
North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A3. Attorney-client privilege regarding litigation, and North Carolina General Statute 143-318, 11A5. Discussion of potential property acquisition.
there may be a decision made of some sort after that closed session. We're not sure. We were waiting on some response from the county, and the county's still in session because they didn't get their chance to speak tonight.
Hey, Miss Gigi.